and thanks for tuning in today. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the ongoing pandemic. One of the things that is really sneaking up on us that I think a lot of us haven't really realized is that for us that have been married, Tish and I have been married for 30 years almost, most of us are spending more time with our spouse than we have since our honeymoon. For some people, they're finding this creating tension and difficulties. I think a lot of us are under the stress of the pandemic. We're isolated. We're at home. We're not able to do our normal routines. It's hard to just go out and get something to eat or just do the normal things that we've always done. And so tensions in the house are increasing in many homes, and people are finding it difficult to cope just with day-to-day life. So I wanted to encourage you with a few things. First of all, many people who have never suffered from depression or anxiety for the first time in their lives are feeling things they've never really felt before, whether it's loneliness or sadness, just the feeling of being cooped up or pressed on. Some people are irritable. Very common in men, especially if they're feeling overwhelmed and under pressure, if they're feeling depressed or anxious, they will get angry or irritable, argumentative. And so what we're seeing, as I was reading some articles yesterday, is that a lot of couples are really beginning to buckle under the strain of the system. So calls for divorce lawyers, search engines are reporting that a lot more searches about divorce are surging. And I wanted you to take a step back and to reassess the relationship, especially in the wake of the pandemic that we're going through. I know for many it can be difficult, but it's important for us to take another look at the situation that we're going through. If you're really struggling and your wife is getting on your nerves or your husband is getting on your nerves, I work with Ben every day, he gets on my nerves. We know what that can be like, but remember that in a godly relationship, love isn't an emotion. Love instead is a commitment. And so we see in Ephesians chapter 5 where it says, "Wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord." And then as we read down, it says, "Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church." And so this is the clearest command we see about the self-sacrificing love that Jesus had for us, that husbands are to emulate that they're to love their wives as Christ loved the church, inasmuch as he gave his life up for the church. It's not a suggestion, it's not a good marriage principle, rather it's a command. Husbands, love your wives. And our world today has taught us that love is an emotion, and it comes and it goes, or it's a give and take thing, or marriage is 50-50. And that's not at all what the Bible portrays marriage as. Each person in a marriage has a responsibility in that marriage. Husbands, love your wives. And then in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, he gives an example. He says, this is what love is. Love is patient. It is kind. It does not envy or boast. It's not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. Love never ends. So I encourage you during this time, if you're feeling that pressure, to be sure to reach out, to call someone, have some type of social interaction. If you're just calling a friend you haven't talked to in a while, if you need to call the church and talk to me, my phone is available and I answer it. So feel free to do that. Or talk to someone at the church. We've got the name and numbers of counselors if you should feel yourself needing that as well. The most important thing to do is to be in prayer. Do not neglect your prayer life during this time. If you're feeling irritable and someone in your house is getting on your nerves, the best thing you can do is pray for them. And yes, you may be praying that God will change them, but what's really happening is the Holy Spirit is softening your heart. So I encourage you to love each other, to invest in your family. I know times are tough, things are difficult, and it seems like just every day more and more. Our direction, our path, the hope for our future is found in the Lord. It's not found in whatever comes on the TV, whether it's CNN or Fox News or some conspiracy theory and what Bill Gates is doing or anything else. We need to keep focused ever more on Jesus Christ and Him crucified. Remember that He loves us and He gave Himself up for us. And He's asked us to do the same, not just for ourselves, but for those in our home, for those in our community, and for those around us. Thank you.